This is about narcissism at the Capitol. And no, I'm not talking about politicians. What I'm saying doesn't make things better, it makes it worse. Me explaining to you that these people are mentally ill does not excuse their bad behavior. The insanity plea exists to decide whether a person deserves to go to prison or to an insane asylum. It doesn't change the verdict. Okay, what all the top head doctors around the world have concluded recently is that anytime someone is suffering from mental illness, narcissism takes hold. So if you're depressed, you'll act like a narcissist. High anxiety, narcissist. Histrionic, bipolar, schizophrenic, any and all types of crazy leads to narcissistic behavior. Look it up. This is where we are. Okay, so what you are looking at is a sea of people with mental illness. Now, they all might be suffering from different kinds of mental illnesses, but what you see is the narcissistic behavior. These people are not connected to reality. They're faking it. Something in their life went wrong, but life goes on, and so their narcissism took over. And so that's what led them to here, where they're doing something with their lives, and suddenly their life has meaning. Okay, well, this is why it's called a disorder, because rather than just going and getting a hobby or figuring out a way to fight the system in a healthy way, what these people decided to do to make themselves feel better is bum rush the Capitol for their narcissistic hero, Trump. The thing that makes it most obvious that every single one of these people are mentally ill is the fact that you can just go to the Capitol like it's a free country. You don't have to bash in the windows, like the front door is open, or at least it was until this happened. So the truth is that these people just costed us some of our freedom, thinking in their heads they were doing something heroic. Okay, the guy with the helmet, you can see that he's in shock. So somewhere deep down inside, there is still a person there that is like not wanting to be doing what he is in fact doing. But because his thinking is tied up in a narcissistic fantasy, that's where his logic comes from. So he just goes on pretending like he has a purpose for being there, even though deep down inside, he knows that what he's doing is crazy. And these kids taking photos of paperwork, what are they doing? It's like little kids playing army in the backyard. It's all pretend, yet they are actually doing it. This is what narcissistic behavior looks like. There's nobody home. They have a fantasy in their head and they look for a way to validate it because they're using narcissism to deny who they really are to themselves. But it's lonely living in a fantasy world, so then they need to find ways in order to validate to themselves that the fantasy world is real. Now, there are a lot of things at play as to why these people are struggling with mental illness. For one, the media fosters this kind of thinking. Fox or MSNBC, pick a side. Also, social media plays a big role. We don't do mental illness in this country. You see a psychiatrist, they give you a pill. Try to see a therapist, and the odds are they won't be any good at their job because we don't pay these people well enough. So what they do is they get on social media and find people that are just as crazy as them. And then they start cooking up fantastic conspiracies together. And it's like this, they gain a sense of calmness. But it just makes things worse because you're investing your time and energy into a fantasy. And even if you have good politics, venting only breeds resentment. It doesn't make you feel better to sit and tweet that the military-industrial complex is a criminal enterprise, even if you get 1 million likes, because nothing changes. But social media will have you go on believing that this is healthy, and while at the same time doing everything they can to squash any kind of actual collective activism. So Twitter played a large role in first helping Trump get elected, because if it's a narcissistic platform, then obviously a full-blown narcissist like Trump is going to do really well on there. And also Twitter played a role in just fostering narcissistic behavior in general, just like Facebook, just like YouTube.